Fakes left, now taken off. Gonna run for it, he got it! And there he goes! Inside the 10, the 5! Oh, the play of the year in the NFL!
What's up, and welcome back to Cover 2 with BeeWoo and Earl Knows It All, man. And as you can see, do not adjust your TV screens. I'm flying solo today, man. Our guy BeeWoo is down in New Orleans, in the swamp. Shout out to Master P, man. He went down to check out that Cleveland Browns versus New Orleans Saints game, man. And maybe BeeWoo is bad. Look, man, the Saints keep winning every time he's involved in the situation, man. But shout out to BeeWoo. Shout out to my sister Temp. Happy birthday to you. They went down there to celebrate. So, man, yeah, man, I'm flying solo today, man. But we got a jam-packed show for you. Nevertheless, we definitely had to still bring you the heat, bring you the best show talking about the NFL right here in the world, man. It's none other than Cover 2 with BeeWoo. Earl Knows It All, man. And we're glad you guys are tuned in, man. And it's been a long time since I've done this solo. So let me, get a little comfortable here, man. Make sure I make myself at home. And like I said, we got a jam-packed show to get into. And the first thing that we got to start with is, of course, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen knocking off the undefeated Chiefs, man. This was a game that we talked about. Would this be a time for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to finally step up and make something happen? The Kansas City Chiefs been living on the edge all season, man. They escaped last week in Denver with the blocked field goal to remain undefeated, but it was just a matter of time, man. Like I said, we started the season off with them winning by just an inch, a toenail even, when Mr. Lively couldn't get both of his feet into the end zone. So they finally suffer a defeat, man. They lose that game 30-23 to the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills, quiet as kept, man. They are looking like one of those teams that are right there in the mix for it, man. This was like Showdown Sunday, really, when you look at these games that we had lined up. And very interesting to see how the Buffalo Bills were going to approach that game. We knew it was going to be a big game for them. These two teams seem to meet every single year. It kind of puts you in the mind of the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts back in the day when you had Peyton Manning and you had Tom Brady, two of the elite premier quarterbacks in the league that you knew one of these two teams were going to probably be the ones standing at the end of the year. And more times than not, it was usually the New England Patriots that did that. That's what we've seen so far in this rivalry. It's more times than not, it's been Kansas City and the bad man, Patrick Mahomes, who has been the guy that's been the last man standing when it comes to the playoffs. But the Buffalo Bills did move to 4-1 in the regular season since Josh Allen has been there against the Chiefs. Now, if you can read what the display says there, they're 0-3 in the playoffs, though. Now, a lot of times they're traveling to Arrowhead to play those games. So we'll get a chance now to see if they can, kind of maybe sneak in, get home field advantage. They're only a game behind the Kansas City Chiefs right now. So, they hold a tiebreaker with the Chiefs. If they can maybe see the Chiefs slip up again, it's very possible that could happen, man. You could possibly see a opportunity for the Buffalo Bills to maybe move into that home field advantage place there, man. But one of the plays I want to show particularly is just Josh Allen has been kind of doing his thing, man. He's looking like Superman out there. Stephon Diggs is no longer there. They traded for Amari Cooper. They got the guy Shakur, who kind of hurt my fantasy team yesterday. They picked up the kid, the rookie out of Florida State, who they picked up, Coleman. But it's really kind of been a committee that they have, not just the one dominant receiver. And Georgia boy James Cook has been doing his thing. He had a heck of a run, ran a guy over to get into the end zone in that game yesterday. But these guys really look like they may be poised and peaking at the right time. BeeWoo, my partner, Bills Mafia, I'm going to hold him down. He's a guy who's been saying that y'all ain't for real. When I asked the question 2 weeks ago, when we had our who's real, who's not, as we got to the halfway point in the season, he wouldn't even let me get out Buffalo's name all the way before he said, "Nah, they're not for real. Don't believe in them." But they appear to be real, man. Now, I will say I've made the mistake throughout my tenure here the last couple years on this show saying, trying to pick the chinks in the armor out for what Kansas City has, right? And maybe looking to go in a different direction and say, all right, maybe it's not the Chiefs. Could it be the Ravens? Could it be the Buffalo Bills? Is it the Miami Dolphins? Who's going to be the team that'll step up? But it's always been Kansas City. They won 2 in a row in 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. They're going for a three-peat this year, and they've only lost 1 game, man. This is their first loss of the season. So, it'll be interesting to see if I'm still counting the Kansas City Chiefs out, even though I say you can't bet against Mahomes. Am I maybe giving a little bit too much to the Buffalo Bills? Is this the year that they can finally win it all, man? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'll say that, they look like a team that's poised to make some noise. And that was a big victory for them, nonetheless, like I said, to get in there and get the victory. But, Josh Allen has some words to say about that, man. We're going to play a little clip here, actually, of him kind of talking about the possibility of them seeing a team like Kansas City down the road.
Josh, that 26-yard touchdown run. Are you kidding me? Take me through that aggressive mindset on the call and that whole series to score that touchdown.
Yeah, appreciate Coach McDermott for trusting the offense going out there. We had a man play. They dropped out into zone. They had something good for it. I just trying to make a play, help our team win a football game. Some things we want to clean up, some throws I wish I had back, but, we're going into the bye week 9-2. We'll take it.
Well, you said all week it's just another Week 11 game. You just ruined their perfect season. You beat your rival. Really, is it just another Week 11 win, or does this one mean more?
It is. It's another Week 11 win. Knowing how things you –
I'm going to call cap on that, man. This team, now, he may be telling the truth on that, saying that it's just another win, another Week 11 win, because we just showed you the highlights. They're 4-1 against this team in the regular season. So, more often than not, he has been successful in the regular season beating Kansas City. But he knows that it's going to take a victory in the playoffs to finally get over the hump. We saw maybe 3 years ago, when he had the ball with a minute left in the game, goes down, scores, puts his team ahead, and it looked like Buffalo was finally going to get over the hump against Kansas City. But Mahomes and Tyreek Hill made something happen in that game, still end up making a play to win. And like I said, this guy has to be saying, you know what, until we can actually beat this team in the playoffs, hey, we got to look at this as just another win for us. So, I kind of agree with what he's saying there, man. Let's finish seeing what Josh Allen had to say going on and continuing about that. And watch this great run that he had as well, man.
Usually play out. We'll probably see this team again at some point. We got to get there first. So we'll, like I said, enjoy this bye week, go into it next week or the week after that, and try to put together a good game plan, try to go 1-0.
What does it?
I feel him 100% on that, man. I think that's the right mindset to have. Josh Allen obviously is one of the top players in his league. We talked about him being at the start of the season. I said this season kind of reminds me of his Cam Newton season when Cam Newton went 15-1, won the MVP, did some of those great things that he did with Carolina. He didn't have a great supporting cast, man. And you look at the Buffalo Bills getting rid of Stephon Diggs, trading him away to the Houston Texans. Like I said, they got a good running back in James Cook, but guys like Montgomery, who's down in Detroit doing his thing now, or up in Detroit. This is a great opportunity for Buffalo. And Buffalo, the Bills Mafia, man, you guys have a great fan base, first and foremost, slamming people through tables, all that stuff. But the Bills were one of the best teams of the 90s when I was growing up, man. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls, a feat that has not been seen ever been seen before, really. Now, they didn't win any of those Super Bowls, so that kind of gets a little dicey. But to get to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, you see teams who make it to the Super Bowl. You look at the Eagles a couple years ago. You look at the 49ers. We're going to talk about y'all 49ers today. BeeWoo is not here to stop me. I finally got free reign. The shackles have been broken. We're going to talk about the 49ers and how I feel about them. But you look at teams who lose the Super Bowl, they kind of have that hangover. Buffalo was able to get back there 4 years. So this is a city in upstate New York and a fan base that's been hungering for a championship, man. They got a great quarterback in Josh Allen. They got a team around him that they feel like can win a Super Bowl. And we thought maybe the window was closing, but this could be the year they finally win it all, man. Now, got to get into a game that kind of saddened my heart a little bit, man. And I'll segue with this saying that I think Buffalo may have moved themselves ahead in my own personal book right now as far as the team that's going to be a challenge to the Kansas City Chiefs. And why do I say that? Because the Steelers went out and beat my Baltimore Ravens yesterday, man. It was a tough game, man. I got to say I chose Baltimore in this game. I looked at it a couple times. I said, I should stay away from this game, man. I shouldn't mess with it. I may be, looking at this with my heart and not my head. And I hadn't even really realized just how much Lamar Jackson had struggled against the Steelers, man. The numbers are kind of dumbfounding, man, when you look at it. He is now falls to 2-5 against the Steelers in his career, which is a crazy, crazy stat. I can't believe that that's the case. The guy plays great against everybody. So he struggles in the playoffs, unfortunately, and he struggles against the Steelers, and he can't beat Kansas City either. Now, a lot of people can't beat Kansas City. They're the best team in the NFL. They got the best player in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, a guy who may be arguably trying to make a push to say he's the best player to ever play this game, and Patrick Mahomes. Yes, I said that. And, you can't be upset with a guy that struggles against them. But the Steelers, this is the Steelers team that's had old Ben Roethlisberger, man. They had the kid out of Pittsburgh who stunk it up and they ran out of town. Now they got Russ and they got, Justin Fields there, man. And no matter who the quarterback, no matter what the circumstances are, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens just seem to not be able to handle the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And it's kind of, when me and BeeWoo were talking about this last week, these are the kind of games that I grew up on, man. When I really locked into football like that in high school and watching as an adult and locking in every Sunday, you had Ray Lewis and those guys and Joey Porter and James Harrison and all those guys, two slobber knocker defensive type teams, man. And the funny thing is the Ravens are the number one offense in the league. They scored the most points, best running game, all this stuff. They got held to 16 points in this game. And the Steelers, for all that we talk about with them winning, we saw this in Atlanta week 1. They didn't even score a touchdown in this game. They had 6 field goals to win the game, man. And we're going to get into field goal kickers too, man. The thing is, a guy who I'm a huge fan of, Justin Tucker, Hall of Fame kicker, if ever there was a Hall of Fame kicker, maybe the greatest kicker of all time. Statistically, I think he is, as far as his accuracy and how great he's been. He missed 2 key field goals at the beginning of this game, and it's a 2-point margin of victory, man. Now, the way this game ended was kind of crazy, man. Essentially, it ended on this 2-point conversion. We're going to take a look at it and see exactly what was going on here, man. I don't know if this play call was exactly what they were looking for, but it's kind of tough to close the game out in this manner, man. We're going to set the scene here, man. You're going for 2. You just scored a touchdown. You've been struggling all day. You make it a 2-point ball game. You get this. You can send this game into overtime maybe and have an opportunity to win the game. But I'm not really sure exactly what they were thinking at this point when they made this play, man. Now, as you can see here, Lamar Jackson rolls out, and he's rolling like he's going to throw the ball, but there's nobody running the route there, man. He just throws the ball up in the air. They don't get the 2-point conversion, and it's like, all right, man, what the heck kind of play call was that? Now, Todd Monken is my guy, man. He's a Georgia guy. He was the offensive coordinator for a team that won 2 national championships I'm a fan of, and he's been doing a great job. I just told you this was the number 1 offense in the league. They shut Henry down for the most part. Lamar he struggled. Lamar has more interceptions in his career than touchdown passes. He's rushed for 0 rushing TDs against his team. I think he averages like 56 yards rushing against the Steelers. So it just seems to be a bad matchup. And it's a team that's in their division. So that's kind of tough, man. And to lose that way, like you said, when you think maybe you got a chance to kind of put something together, it's a scary thing, man. And it kind of has me as a guy that roots for the Ravens saying, I don't know if the Ravens are for real, man. Lamar, he got up at the podium and he talked about, hey, we keep beating ourselves and we got to stop doing that. Against the Raiders, we beat ourselves. Against the Chiefs, we beat ourselves. Kept making mistakes. The other game that they lost as well, yesterday, they beat themselves, making mistakes. Too many penalties. They're the most penalized team. So this is stuff you got to clean up, man. When you're going to be a championship team, you cannot beat yourself, man. Now, I'm going to use a basketball analogy. When the Golden State Warriors were cooking, and they were, all-time great team, they would turn the ball over a lot. Steph Curry would get kind of sloppy with the ball. but they had a margin of error that they could allow that to happen because they were so much better than everybody else. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that kind of has to play the right way, need to play good defense, let Lamar Jackson kind of carry the load along now with Henry. You got Zay Flowers, who's a good receiver. You got Rashad Bateman over there who's making some plays happen. Two good tight ends and Lively and Andrews, but they can't afford to kick themselves in their own rear end. They can't afford to continue to make mistakes and think that they're going to win. You saw them hold a team to 0 touchdowns and lose a game. That's, it's unfortunate that you make some of those mistakes, get some of those errors that they're having. An interception that I guess it counts as an interception, but a guy catches the ball, has it ripped away from him. It's called an interception. Those kind of things got to be cleaned up, man. And as we start getting towards the end of the year, like I said, it's put up or shut up time. What are you going to do to separate yourself? The Kansas City Chiefs, they're championship pedigree, man. And we know when it's nut clutching time, when it's time to go, they're going to be there. We see what Buffalo just did against them. Buffalo's actually beating you in the playoffs as well. They beating you, Baltimore. So now you got to kind of say, okay, we got to get serious about this and kind of clean these things up going forward. And in big games, I hate to say this, man, because Lamar is a great player. He's probably going to win the MVP this year. I don't think that game is going to stop him from winning it. People look at Lamar and they wait for this moment to seize on this and say, oh, see, I told you, he ain't legit. He shouldn't be. He's one of the best players in the world, man. One of the best players we've ever seen. Greatest dual threat this side of Michael Vick. He's had a more prolonged run than Michael Vick did. Michael Vick, we kind of waxed poetic about what Vick did, but it was like a 4 or 5 year run for Michael Vick in his prime with the Falcons. And I don't really even count the stuff with the Eagles. He had the one great year he had with the Eagles as well. But we've seen Lamar do this to an MVP level already 2 times and maybe a 3rd time this year. But you got to get over the hump in the big games. That's what disappointed me last year. He looked like he was kind of like a deer in headlights last year against the Chiefs in that playoff game in the AFC Championship. And you can't afford to do that, man. You got to step up. That's when you got to come make the big plays. That's what Brady's done. When Peyton Manning, well, I won't even say when Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning had a lot of help too. So, but Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, these guys make the plays when it's time to make those plays, and that's what we got to see from Lamar going forward, man. Now, moving right along, we got to get into the Detroit Lions. Now, by default, I guess this is one of the teams BeeWoo picked. He believed in them. I kind of thought the Lions were going to be one of those teams that had a hangover. I'm not going to lie to you. The way they lost that game in San Francisco last year, it broke my heart because if you watch this show, I hate the San Francisco 49ers, and most specifically the boy wonder Kyle Shanahan, right? So they blew that big lead against them, started to have some trouble. You got Jared Goff coming off this past week, a game against the Texans where he threw 5 interceptions and they still win that game with a field goal late. And you kind of say, I can kind of see where this thing can get off the rails a little bit for the Lions, but they absolutely smacked the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jacksonville goes into a bye week. I don't know if Doug Peterson's going to keep his job. They asked him about that. He said, we'll see what happens. It is what it is. You lose 52-6. Those are not the kind of scores you see in NFL games, man. Only one other team got beat down like that in this slate of Sunday games, and we're going to definitely get into that as well. But, it's just tough to lose. Like, the Detroit Lions are legitimate, man. They smack you in the mouth. I love Dan Campbell. Maybe I love Dan Campbell because I was a Falcon fan, as you know, back in the day, and I rooted for the Falcons when we had Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was like Coach Bro, and, he would have all these little hokey sayings, the brotherhood and all that stuff, man. And that stuff is cool, man. Sometimes it can wear on you, though, if you're not winning. I think there's a little bit of nuance, though, with Dan Campbell, and that's the difference. Dan Campbell played in the league. Dan Quinn didn't play in the league. Dan Campbell knows what it takes to be a successful NFL player, man. So he has the guys' ears and hearts because of that. You got guys over there, their defensive coordinator, Aaron Ross, a guy who played in the league as well, man. So you got guys who actually put in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears, who are leading these guys. You got Jared Goff. Say what you will about him, the 5 interceptions. People think that you can't win with him. He's a guy who's been to a Super Bowl before, played in the Super Bowl with the Rams. Now, they traded him away. They didn't win that game, and, of course, they won with Matthew Stafford a little bit later, but he's a guy who's the first overall pick and has been to a Super Bowl. That's a pedigree that not a lot of quarterbacks in the NFC have, man. So when you start looking at these things, it's like, man, Detroit is for real, man. They got a two-headed monster at running back. I think they calling them Sonic and Knuckles with Gibbs and with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Two-headed monster that's wrecking shop. They got Jameson Williams, who made the ode to Marshawn Lynch with his touchdown run, grabbing his crotch. They got receivers, Amon St. Brown. They got guys who make plays, man. They got a good tight end as well. And their defense, they got a new player on defense who welcomed himself very much to Detroit in a big way, man. We're going to look at exactly what he did as well. Take a little clip of that. So Zadarius Smith, who they just picked up in a trade at the trade deadline, first game comes in, walks into the stadium with his Rasheed Wallace jersey on, and he makes a big play for him. Now they're up 49-6. This game is well in hand at this point, but it's just good to see you pick up a player and you want to see him produce right away, and that's what this guy does, man. He comes out, gets his bit sack, and I think it has a fun celebration too as well, man. They're crawling on the ground, but man, the Lions are legit. They lost Hutchinson, right? But you go get a defensive end, go get a pass rusher, and they look like a team that is poised. I don't know who. Now, let me preface this by saying I do kind of have an idea, and I'm going to tell y'all a little bit later because I haven't talked about this team yet. And I kind of hinted at it yesterday, man. I mean, last week on our last show. I think there's one team that may be able to get them some trouble, but I'm not all the way sold on them yet either. But and that's my Philadelphia Eagles. What's up, Eagles fans? Fly, Eagles, fly. But I will say this, man. I think the Lions are legitimate. They're a great football team. They got great leadership at the head coach position. Offensive coordinator is a guy who everybody wanted, who decided to come back. Defensive coordinator is going to probably get a job too this season as well. I mean, they look like a legitimate, maybe best team in the NFL. I'm not going to say maybe. They are the best team in the NFL. We had to keep saying maybe the Chiefs because they got Mahomes and they're undefeated, and, of course, they're defending champs. But right now, the Lions are playing the best football. They are the best team in the NFL, and they are a buzzsaw, man. They are running through the NFL right now, and they play in a tough division too, man. That's the thing. It's not an easy cakewalk, man. And one of those teams in that division is not too far behind them, man. It's actually the Packers. The Packers survive against the Bears, man. They win on a blocked field goal. Now, shout out to Thomas Brown, former Georgia Bulldog. If you listen to the show, you know I'm hearing it. We based in Atlanta, of course, man. I'm a Bulldog fan. And by the way, glory, go Dogs, man. We put the whooping on Tennessee. We right back in the playoffs. Y'all can hate on us all y'all want, but title time, the real champs that run college football, we still here, man. We're going to be in the playoffs. Carson Beck, thank you for finally showing up. But let me get back to the NFL talk. Thomas Brown, former Georgia Bulldog running back, took over the reins as offensive coordinator. Now, it was still a kind of touch-and-go game, man, for the Bears. But Caleb Williams puts them in position with the lead to win. I mean, with down by one to try to win this game, man. And it's just unfortunate when they keep losing these games at the end of the game, man. And it's like, all right, you look at that Hail Mary loss they had. You look at the blocked field goal here as we pull this up and look at it. It's just, I mean, are the Bears like snake bit now? I can point to a video that we have here on our channel. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it, man. It's called All the Bears Cursed. And we talked about Justin Fields and just all the stuff that's happened with the Chicago Bears, man. To lose a game this way after Caleb Williams has driven you down the field, all you got to do is make the kick, man. That's all. You got one job to do. We just talked about this the other day, man. You got one job to do, and what happens? You line up and you let the kick get blocked, man. It's how? Please explain this to me. You kick the ball too low. It's only a 46-yarder. And that's it, man. Like the Bears, and like I said, the Bears, man, they might just be cursed, man. Might just be cursed. Eberflus is probably on his last leg, man. You fired the coordinators. You done all this stuff. You drafted a new quarterback. You done a lot of different things, man. At some point, you got to look at the head coach, and probably the general manager is probably going to be on his way out too. Can't keep you drafted Mitchell Trubisky. It didn't work. High quarterback draft. Justin Fields, it didn't work. Caleb Williams has had struggles as well. At some point, you got to look at this thing and say, okay, maybe this is just an organizational fail that we're going through right now, that we're experiencing, because the Bears, they got some talent there. They got DJ Moore. They got Rome Odunze, who they just drafted, man. You got a good tight end and Kyle Kmet, who has been doing pretty well for me, man. So you got some guys there, man. You got DeAndre Swift, good running back as well. You got players there, but they just can't seem to put it together ever. And it seems like they keep churning over new coaches. They had Lovie Smith there for a while, and he actually had that team playing pretty good back when they had, your Jay Cutlers and your Rex Grossman and all those guys like that. But it's just been downhill since then, man. And you hate to see it, but yeah, they survive, man. And on a bigger note, man, we talked about Justin Tucker last week. If you've seen our episode, I can't believe the Falcons did not cut Younghoe Koo after his debacle of what he's been doing all season. Justin Tucker continues to miss, man. You saw that blocked field goal there that would have won the football game. It's just like, all right, man, what's going on with the kickers? And kickers I know people say kickers are people too, but man, it's when you get down to the late season where it starts to get cold, the weather changes, you're outdoors in places like Pittsburgh and Chicago where the weather's swirling. I mean, wind is swirling and all this stuff is going on. You got to have a kicker that you can depend on. It makes you call the game in an entirely different way if you don't trust that kicker, man. You got to play call differently. You got to worry about, okay, I can't really trust this guy. How close do I got to get it? Now I'm making plays that I shouldn't maybe make because I got to be a little bit more aggressive, and maybe my quarterback makes some difficult throws that leads to an interception or a turnover because he can't trust what the kicker's going to do, man. And you just got one job, Mr. Kicker. So, kickers, this is a PSA for y'all. Get it together, man, okay? Younghoe Koo, I'm looking at you. Justin Tucker, and it's like the teams that I like too, man. Justin Tucker, come on, man. You had a Hall of Fame career. You've done a lot in this league, but I'm of the mind that you got to go find a kicker if the guy that you got ain't working. And I know kickers don't just grow on trees, but you got to bring somebody in and try to figure something out, because you cannot allow that to be the reason why you lose. Right now, despite the struggles that Lamar had, despite the struggles that the Baltimore Ravens had, if Justin Tucker hits those 2 field goals, they win that game. It's a 2-point margin, man. You win the game. You're in first place. You continue. Now you're in the driver's seat maybe to try to get home field advantage. Even though you lost to the Chiefs don't look like they're going to be invincible. So, you got an opportunity there. But now they've dropped down to the 7th seed right now. It's Baltimore because a kicker couldn't make kicks, man. You look at the Falcons losing that game. 3 kicks missed by Younghoe Koo the previous week against the Saints. It's just it's tough, man. It's tough when you go out there and you're hammering your head each and every play, and a guy that just kind of sits on the bench and has to come out there and warm up every now and then and kick the ball doesn't do his job, man. Other guys get cut for stuff like that, and you got the owner of the Atlanta Falcons tapping that guy on the shoulder and telling him, oh, it's going to be okay. And, hey, maybe we looked at that video, had some fun with what Arthur Blank was doing, but yeah, the NFL has a kicker problem, man, and it's tough. Now, there's a jack of all trades in the NFL. Maybe teams should try to use this guy. I'm not going to give no advice to the New Orleans Saints, though, but, I'm not one to talk much about the Saints, so definitely get him any shine. But this guy is a All-American Hall of Famer when he plays against the Falcons, and he actually made history. Taysom Hill, I do want to give a shout-out to him. Like I said, my guy BeeWoo was actually in the building for this, man, and he was texting me back and forth like, man, Taysom Hill be making plays, man. I'm like, yeah. I mean, usually it's against the Falcons, but apparently he decided to do some stuff against the Browns as well. And we're gonna pull up where he made his historic touchdown in this game against the Cleveland Browns here, man. Now, the beauty of this is, like I said, I hate the Saints with a passion, so I use that term hate very lightly. I don't use it very loosely, man. So, but there's a few things in life that I hate. Kyle Shanahan, not a huge fan of you. And the New Orleans Saints are also right up there. Duke basketball, New York Yankees. A lot of these folks have been having a rough time of it, including the Saints. But they got their second victory in a row. And like we said, Taysom Hill did make history with this play right here, man. He breaks out of the backfield and it takes off. They got him in the Wildcat, and lo and behold, look at him. He is off to the races, all the way down into the end zone, man. I don't know how people just continue to allow this to happen, but that was his 25th career rushing touchdown on that play. And with that, he becomes only the second player in NFL history with 25 rushing touchdowns, 10 receiving touchdowns, and 10 passing touchdowns as well. Frank Gifford is the other guy to do that now. You got to be I'm talking about way older than me and BeeWoo, even though we gray beards. This may be the gray beard podcast. We don't remember Frank Gifford. The only thing, you know how I remember Frank Gifford? I knew him as the guy who used to call Monday night games back in the day with Al Michaels, and the guy that once upon a time was married to Kathy Lee Gifford from Regis and Kathy Lee. Now, I probably just lost everybody that's under the age of 40 years old, but yeah, that's Frank Gifford, man. But he was a great triple threat, I guess you could say, for the New York Giants back in the day. This is back before the Super Bowl existed, right? So that's when Frank Gifford played for the New York Football Giants. But Taysom Hill, I will say congratulations, but you play for the Saints, so whatever, man. But I will say you've made history of becoming only the second guy to do that. So a great feat that was completed. And like we said, he had 25 touchdowns rushing, 10 passing, and 10 receiving TDs. Pretty big deal, man. Pretty big deal there, man. Now, next game we go to, I told y'all at the top of the show that since BeeWoo is not here, I don't know why he's a 49er fan. We're going to have an intervention for him first and foremost because the 49ers used to kick the Falcons, but every single time they played them, they would blow them out, much like the Falcons were blown out this Sunday. But we'll get into that game a little bit later. But my guy, Geno. Now, this is BeeWoo's guy, but he's my guy today because what did I tell you? I root for anybody that means bad for Kyle Shanahan. And what did Mr. Geno do? He wrote back, man, comeback victory. We're going to pull up the play here where he runs for a touchdown to put this game away, man. Now, Geno, it's been a long time since Geno has, been considered, I guess, a dual threat. But people forget when he was coming out of West Virginia, this is what he did, man. He was a guy who would get out and run the football, man. And Geno Smith, shout out to you, sir, for doing that because, hey, man, like I said, anytime that there's some pain that has been suffered by the good people in San Francisco, I'm all for that, man. I'm all for it all the way. And let's get into this play and see exactly what Geno did to take the lead and right back. Now, that whole play, that whole drive, Geno had been moving around with the ball, making some plays, man. And finally, with about 19 seconds left on the clock, 2nd and 2, man, from the 12-yard line, 13-yard line, he scrambles in for a touchdown, man. Now, Nick Bosa, of course, left this game with an injury, and Geno capitalizing on that. No pass rush could get to him. Sometimes Geno giveth and he taketh away, but he definitely gave me one of the best presents I could have, man. And it's a beautiful thing to see a team like the 49ers get beat down like that, man. It warms my heart to see it. Couldn't happen to a better group of people, and especially Kyle Shanahan. I only want bad things for you, Mr. Shanahan. Now, the 49ers fall to 5-5. They're in a tie right now with the Seahawks, who are 5-5, and the Rams, but Seahawks, of course, on that tiebreaker as they beating them. And 49ers, I think this is their 3rd loss in the division, man. So at the start of the season, I predicted that the 49ers would not make the playoffs this year. Now, they are seeming to make me the know-it-all that I am, man. I was betting with my heart on that, and I'm pretty happy to see that they are struggling right now. Of course, they had some injury concerns and stuff like that, but, man, it looks like those guys are pretty much washed right now, man. And like I said, it couldn't happen to a better group of people. Kyle Shanahan, I hope you continue to lose. Maybe y'all should just lose out the rest of the season, man. I think that would be a good idea, man. Now, speaking of disappointing seasons, man, I wish my guy was here to talk about this. I haven't even spoken with him today. We were talking back and forth during the game. He told me, man, I cut the game off after he left the Saints game. He was trying to enjoy a nice meal. New Orleans, if you haven't been there before, it's a beautiful place to visit. As far as food, they're one of the best food cities in America. So you got some good food down there in New Orleans, man. And I'm sure BeeWoo, as y'all know him, was probably very close to throwing up his food or vomiting at the point that he had to watch that game, man. So the Falcons got beat down to the point that I turned this game off as well, man. A 38-6 beat down. They made one Mr. Bo Nix look like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, all rolled in one at some point, man. Whatever you think the greatest quarterback of all time is, that's how they made this guy look. And it is the chickens coming home to roost, to quote the great Malcolm X, man. Falcons. at some point, you have to address the fact that you don't have a pass rush. Now, I will give the Falcons a little bit of bail because they did have two of their top three corners missing and eventually lost another corner in this game. And AJ Terrell, if you've been following, he ain't great shakes to me either. People give him a lot of credit for being a great cornerback, but you're already starting with a deficiency there if that's the guy who's going to be covering the number ones. So, not having D. Alford, not having Michael Hughes was a big, big loss for them. But you know how you can kind of combat that? You know how the guy that's coming off the practice squad can get a little bit of help back there in the backfield? Is if you have a pass rush, man. Now, the Falcons did get a sack in this game. This is their 10th sack in 11 games this year, man. Now, the sack that happened was based on an offensive lineman tripping the quarterback, and he fell down. And Matthew Judon, the great pickup that everybody was so excited about for the Falcons, the reason that you didn't need to not draft Michael Penix is you heard right here from me. BeeWoo ain't here to stop me now. This is why drafting Penix, and this is why the previous year drafting Bijan Robinson, and this is why the previous year before that drafting Drake London, when there are great defensive linemen on the board that you could have had, didn't make any sense, man. And especially this year, you're not a team that should feel like you had the luxury just to go out and continue to add skill players, man. You had a rookie running back that rushed for over 1,000 yards, and you draft a running back. And this is in a league where people don't even draft running backs in the first round. You took him in the top 10. And there's a guy in Jordan Davis who's right in your backyard at Georgia who won 2 national championships that you didn't draft. Now, they may say off the field stuff or whatever. Go get some dogs, man, literally and figuratively. Go get guys who want to get after the quarterback. That's what you got to have on your team. They don't have that. With all due respect to Grady Jarrett, Grady Jarrett's best days are behind him. I saw him sack Tom Brady 3 times in the Super Bowl. That was 2017, people. We're in 2024 now. So when you look at it, and he suffered an Achilles injury and all this stuff, man. You haven't had a pass rush that was consistent since John Abraham. You know how long ago John Abraham played? He played for Mike Smith. That's 3-4 coaches ago. That's however many regimes ago. Jim Moore. He was playing for Jim Moore. This was the big pickup they got back then. You haven't had a guy, and they continue to strike out on this. And, I love Raheem. I think Raheem is a great coach. In Atlanta, I was listening to a lot of the sports talk after the game, and people are down now. You're starting to hear them say, why do we draft Michael Penix? Why do we do this? You're starting to hear a lot of the stuff that I said why I'm not a Falcon fan anymore. I heard a lot of people blaming one Mr. Arthur Blank, and they say we're not going to win until he sells the team. That's the same thing I've been saying, man. People look at me crazy when I say it. They say, oh, Earl, you don't have the loyalty. What are you doing? Those who know, man. You have to have people in place that are going to make smart football decisions. I start hearing people say, maybe we should have took Bill Belichick. And all of this is going on because you had 2 lifeless losses back-to-back against your rival in the Saints where your kicker couldn't make 3 field goals that would have won you the game. You left 9 points on the board or off the board. And the owner comes down and he's patting the guy on the back. And he's handcuffing maybe the GM or the coach or whoever who may want to make a decision of, yeah, that's unacceptable. Now I can't say it's unacceptable because the guy who writes the check is down here patting this guy on the back. It makes it tough, man. And I think until the Falcons, I'm not going to say that right now, man. It's exasperating, man, when you think about it. And Falcons fans, I've been there with you, man. I'm not there with you now, though. Y'all on your own. It was looking good. I was contemplating, man, maybe I will jump back on the bandwagon. Maybe I will become a fan again. But, oh boy, thank God for insight, man. Thank God for signs that come from above, man. These 2 losses, now the Falcons are still 6-5. They still got a game and a half lead, which is really a 2-game lead on the Buccaneers. And it shouldn't be any way they blow this division. I figure if you win 2 more games, you beat Carolina, which you should beat the last game of the season. Throw in that Giants game. If you win that game, And you probably should beat the Raiders, but right now at the rate you're going, I don't know that you can beat anybody. You should win this division if you can do that. So I won't give you guys too much panic just yet, right? But if you're a Falcon fan, man, it's time to panic. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's time to panic, man. BeeWoo, I'm going to see what you say when you come back in, man, but you cannot be happy with what's going on. You say you keep it real, and I know you do. And you have come on here at times and bashed the Falcons. Now, some of it's been misguided bashing of certain people, but, yeah, I think it starts at the top with Arthur Blank, man. Arthur Blank, and then Terry, I tried to shoot you some bail because they said Terry doesn't make the decisions when they got rid of Arthur Smith. But who's making these choices to draft these guys? And you gave up a third-round pick for Junon, who has not worked out for you. And now you don't have a third-round pick, so you can't make a trade at the trade deadline to go get a pass rush in this season where it appears to be like you have a chance, like it's wide open. You can maybe make something happen. Now, all this may be for naught because the Detroit Lions look like a well-oiled machine, and you probably are not going to beat them no matter what. And I'll be honest with you, you're not going to beat the Eagles either. You beat the Eagles on the last-second play on Monday night. You probably shouldn't have won, but the Eagles are a much different team now than they were then. They're healthy. They got A.J. Brown back. Saquon Barkley is wrecking shop. It's going to be very tough for you to beat those teams. I don't even know. I don't think you can beat the Commanders, who are right now in second place, and you got to play the Commanders. Can you beat the Vikings, who are 8-2, and they're in second place in their division? I mean, maybe you beat the Packers. The Packers look kind of shaky, but you may be on even playing field with them. But it just looks really, really frustrating right now, man, if you're a Falcon fan. And, yeah, it's time to panic, man. It's time to panic. I would say that. Falcon fans, y'all do me a favor, man. We know we got a lot of y'all that watch the show. Comment, tell me what you think. Are you panicking? How do you feel? This is a safe space, baby. You can vent. You can say exactly how you feel about what these Falcons are doing to your mental, to your health. What are they doing to you? You let Bo Nix look like the second coming, man. That's crazy. That's Bo Nix. He didn't even look like that against college teams. You could have threw Georgia's defense out there against him, and they would have handled him. I saw it several times when he was at Auburn. And Sean Payton continues to terrorize you. He leaves New Orleans, and he still is terrorizing you. You let that guy win. You're letting your fan base down, man. It's unacceptable. And I feel for y'all Falcons fans, man. I feel for y'all. All I can tell you is, pray that better days will come, man, I guess. I don't know, man. Now, moving right along, man, of course, the Sunday night game, if you're a Bengals fan, you probably need some prayer too at this point. But we're not going to talk about the Bengals right now, man. The Chargers, a team who I've said I have one rule about the Chargers. Don't trust the Chargers. They moved to 7-3, and quiet as kept. They jumped ahead of a team like Baltimore now. They're in the mix in that playoff run, and we know what Jim Harbaugh does, man. This is what he does. This is his MO. He's a guy who comes in, changes the program, makes a team a winner. They got a lot of talent on that team already. Had talent already. Got J.K. Dobbins, who was a good running back for Baltimore, who's now there. You got some talent at wide receiver, Quentin Johnson. They got the boy, Lad McConkey, a dog, go Dogs, out there as well. And Justin Herbert, who he was the boy for so long, man, that people loved. Of course, you blew some games with him at quarterback in the playoffs, but now you got a proven commodity. And truthfully, since we're talking about the Falcons, to kind of piggyback on that, this is the guy I wanted the Falcons to get. Really, if I had my wish list, Jim Harbaugh, bring him in. I know what he's going to do. He's consistent, man. If nothing else, he's going to put a good team together. They're going to play hard. He's probably a whack job. Most definitely. He has some idiosyncrasies and stuff, but the guy wins football games. Now, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Got the 49ers close. They lost at the last second with Kaepernick back in the day to Baltimore Ravens, but he always has his teams there and ready. And, the Chargers may be a team to look out for, man. So, again, I got one rule. Don't trust the Chargers. So, I'm not saying I trust them, but they're in the mix, man, along with a team like Buffalo, along with teams like the Ravens or, who do you start looking at some of these teams? Like, all right, man, maybe the Chargers are a team we got to look at. Texans as well. And speaking of Texans and the AFC South, we got Monday night predictions, man. We shoot this on Monday. So when you see it on Tuesday morning as you're watching now, we try to see if our predictions are going to come true. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I can predict one thing for sure, though. it's going to be a lot of pain for the Dallas Cowboys, man. You got Cooper Flush, I think, or Cooper Rush, or whatever his name is. I don't know. Cooper Flag. You might as well have him playing quarterback too. Somebody named Cooper out there quarterback for the Cowboys, man. And truthfully, selfishly, I need that defense to maybe take a couple pick sixes back, man. You know, get some sacks, some fumbles, interceptions. I need all of that because I need about 25 points to win my fantasy game. So, Texas defense, hopefully y'all came through for me and I can win my fantasy game. Who knows, man? But yes, I'm predicting the Houston Texans will win the Battle of Texas. They're going to embarrass Jerry. I know BeeWoo last week said, can we please stop seeing the Cowboys? I told him, you got a Monday night. You're going to see them again next week on Thanksgiving. So, it just is what it is, man. We're going to keep getting force-fed the Cowboys no matter how bad they are, man, because they are America's team. Hello to all the Cowboys fans. How y'all doing out there, man? And that's our show for today, man. I want to make sure that you guys do yourselves a favor, man. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. What are you doing if you haven't subscribed yet? This is the best show in the world covering football. Make sure you tell everybody that you know that loves football, specifically the NFL, that, hey, man, it's two brothers that's putting it down. BeeWoo, Earl Knows It All. They got a fun show. They keep it real. It's the Keep It Real show, and they're the voice of the people, and we're going to give it to you raw and uncut. That's what we do, man. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you do not miss a thing. And y'all know what we always tell y'all, man. Tell a friend and even tell a hater, man. We need the haters. If you just want to get on here and drop your comments and say, y'all know what y'all talking about. Y'all suck. Falcons suck. Oh, look at your gray beards. Whatever you want to say, man. I know I look good, though, so you can't say too much about me. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, man. Comment below, too. Tell us what you think, man. I think the Detroit Lions are the best team in football. Do you agree with that, man? I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win the NFC. I'm going to leave with that, man. That's what I'm going to say, but it's still early, so maybe I won't make that prediction just yet. But you guys comment below. Tell me what you say, man. Thank you guys for watching, as always. Make sure that you continue to watch, and like we said, tell a friend, tell a hater, man. Y'all have a great week. We'll be back. We may do something a little special for Thanksgiving too, man. We're gonna try to drop something. Last year we went live for Thanksgiving while Mom Dukes is in there. Well, Mom Dukes don't cook no more. Shout out to Mom Dukes, but we'll all be whipping up something, I guess, potlucking it as we get prepared to be thankful for football, and we're thankful for each and every one of you. So we'll see you next week, man. Y'all make sure y'all be good. Like I said, tell a friend, tell a hater. BeeWoo, what's up, boy? We'll see you next week. Ha ha.